Welcome to Work from the Inside Out, a podcast that highlights real-life stories, practical strategies, and best practices for transitioning your career from unhappiness and dissatisfaction to fulfillment, meaning, and joy. Now here is your host, career and executive coach, Tammy Guler-Loeb.
Hey everyone, I am so delighted to introduce my guest today, Christina Eanes. Christina is on a mission to help others achieve more in life. Oh, I love the sound of that. Mainly by getting out of their own way. Oh, I like the sound of that too. As an author, speaker, podcast, and YouTube channel host, and an array of professional development programs, through her products and services, Christina inspires others to take responsibility for their success at work and home. Prior to founding her own company through more than 15 years of public service with a California Police Department and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, Christina worked on an array of programs, including the FBI's Violent Criminal Apprehension Program and the FBI's Leadership Development Program, where her teams helped train thousands of leaders. Please join me in welcoming Christina Eanes. Welcome, Christina.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So happy to have you here, Christina. So, as you know, on Work from the Inside Out, we love to start with the beginnings or the early years and how they might have been formative. So take us back to some of the early years and tell us how they began for you.
Cool. Well, when I was 8 months old, no, I'm kidding. But when I was a child, I would say just before middle school, I started as an entrepreneur.
Wow.
So I've come full circle, and I didn't realize that until I became an entrepreneur again. I'm like, wait a minute. I used to try to make money in so many different ways, like getting golf balls on the golf course and then selling them back to the golfers, or putting a lemonade stand on like the 9th hole, because then they'd be thirsty by then. So I realize I've come full circle, but it's a little circuitous. So I was really interested in biology. And I went up to 3rd year in college as a biology major. And then I was sitting in class one day and I was like, I don't care what's inside of a cell. What is a Golgi apparatus and RNA transcripts to DNA? What? I don't know. This is not what I want to do.
Wow. So you got all the way through to your 3rd year of college.
Yep.
Really?
The second week. I was in the second week because it was the day before you could switch your classes. You could, adjust your classes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, I love law enforcement. I'm fascinated with it. I love how people tick. I don't want to be a cop because without fail, they've had to chase a naked person and wrestle them, or they've been spit on. Every cop I've talked to, it's the things that go through your head, right? So I was in my early years there. So I'm like, but I got 2 years. I can figure out what I want to do in the field. It doesn't necessarily have to be a cop. So I switched everything over to criminal justice. And then I found crime analysis. So there were puzzles. I love puzzles. And then I became a crime analyst at a local PD in California. And while I was doing that, my father was a teacher and then a principal. Yeah, and he actually wanted me to be an elementary school teacher. And I'm like, I don't have the patience for that. But I started teaching adults. So I started teaching college right outside of college while I was a crime analyst. So there's always been a training nexus.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about that. So you finished undergrad with a degree in criminal justice. You got a job fairly quickly, it sounds like, in a police department doing analysis work, right?
Yes.
What did that entail? I'm just curious. What was that?
So
like?
At the local level, a crime analyst is more of a generalist. That'll make more sense when I move further into the bio. So I was a general crime analyst. So you would do all sorts of support. So I would be doing crime stats reporting to the FBI. Okay. Oh. Foreshadowing.
Wow.
I would be doing stats for the police chief, the city council, the overall stats. So that's admin type crime analysis, but then I would also do tactical crime analysis. So that's for our narcotics groups, our detectives, our patrol, letting them know where crimes were occurring, giving intel analysis on potential suspects. So tracking crime series, that kind of thing. So it encompasses a lot, but it involves puzzles and math.
Wow. And so that sounds like a really interesting job to have right out of the gate. And then
yes,
I'm curious about the juxtaposition of that with your dad wanting you to teach school. Now, was he wanting you to do that knowing that you were already doing crime analysis?
When I was younger. He's like, I'm an elementary school teacher. I think you'd be good at it.
I see.
Yeah. And then once I became older, I'm like, I don't have the patience. I bless anyone who can spend all day around small children. I love them.
I see.
Yeah.
So he was encouraging you from a younger age onward to sort of follow in his footsteps.
Yes.
I see. And when you decided to go towards a life of crime, I don't mean it quite like that.
Which is
how did he feel about that?
He was fine. I found my niche, and I actually was making a lot more money than I would have. So that was another concern. He wanted me to be able to support myself, and I had a family too. So make sure that we were, making it.
Yeah.
And so it worked out.
Well, he was happy. You're still here. You're doing all right, right?
He was happy. Yeah.
So that first job was, I think about, maybe I'm thinking about today's economy. I don't know, but it seems like that was a very sort of robust professional job right out of the gate. And not all college grads are able to deal with what sounds like some pretty heavy duty kinds of topics and things.
Yeah, I was fascinated with it. Well, and plus, I've always been very strategic. So while I was in college, I started reaching out to local crime analysts asking for mentoring. I volunteered with my local PD. So I was actually working the position before I got it. Essentially, I looked at that as, I created my own internship. And so right after college, I was lucky, though, that my boss retired. And so I just slipped right into his position.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I hope whoever's listening to this, if you are on the younger side and looking, even if you're on the older side, this is really important information, what you're sharing, Christina, because I think a lot of people don't think to volunteer at any age, or to just insert themselves or create their own internships. But that was a very wise move you made. No doubt about it.
And it's a theme throughout my whole career, which we can get into.
Let's keep going then. Let's keep going.
Okay.
Well, how long were you in that role in your local police department?
It was a little over 5 years.
Okay.
A little over 5 years. I hit 30. And I was as high as I could go in the police department as a civilian. So a non-gun toting person. I'm like, do I do this for 30 years? Or do I expand maybe my impact, which I wanted to, and specialize? So I started collaborating more with some FBI analysts that we worked with on cases, got to know them, found out a position was opening, and then applied for it and got it. So I moved all the way to the East Coast from the West Coast. And I became a violent crime analyst. Not a crime analyst committing violent crimes, obviously, with the Violent Criminal Apprehension Program. And so that job was, it may sound bad, but I had a lot of fun in that job. I was able to work with local, state, federal, and even international police detectives, whoever was doing investigation work, whatever the position was. We would be assigned different states, and our job was to provide analytical services to the police departments there, and then also to get them to submit cases to us. So I would go around and do a lot of traveling, probably about once a month. I'd go out and travel to different agencies and do presentations and do some training on how to use our system and why they should do that. So there's it's still training, still going forward. And I also taught online. I've been teaching, I taught, I don't do it anymore, virtual college since 2004. I stopped doing that about 2014.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's still a training nexus, but now I'm government, less of an entrepreneur. So we'll come full circle back to that.
Yeah, that's interesting, though. So you always had that part of you that wanted to not just sort of take that deep dive into the data and figuring out ways to express that and share that information with others, but then it sounds like you were also teaching others how to understand the data
Yes.
or how to process it themselves. How generous of you.
Oh, I get a lot of joy out of it. So it's not totally generous.
Well, that's a good way to do it, to enjoy it, right? For yourself. I mean, the more you enjoy it, the more you can convey that to others while you're teaching them, right?
Yeah.
So I'm curious though, when you went from being in a civilian role in a local police department in order to work for the FBI, did you have to change sort of your status as a civilian to join the FBI? Was there No, you were still
interesting. Yeah. A lot of people think if you're part of the FBI, you're automatically an agent.
Yeah.
And only 30% of the FBI are actually agents. Yeah. The rest are professional staff. I mean, anywhere from a scientist to an analyst to an intelligence analyst to a janitor to a mechanic to building maintenance. They hire all kinds of positions. And the majority of the FBI are not agents.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Right. So that is interesting. I'm glad you cleared that up. So tell us more. I'm curious. I'm just want to know what happened next.
Well, so I worked that job for I'm trying to think 6 to 7 years. I really enjoyed it. I loved working. I still was able to I worked more with local law enforcement than I did agents, because local law enforcement is mostly dealing with the violent crimes. And I helped catch a few serial killers in my day, serial rapists.
Wow.
So it was nice to be a part of that, but not be on the forefront of having to go chase them down and interrogate them and stuff. Right.
Yeah.
So still part of the mission and still able to do my thing.
Wow.
Yeah, but not have to be in that kind of position. But then, and I used to say I got a bad boss, but I think it's just now that I'm reviewing after all of my learning, it's a completely opposite spectrum personality boss from me.
That happens, right?
And a totally different style that did not mesh with me well. And several others in the unit. However, it made me rethink because I was in a highly specialized niche. Like there was no other position in the federal government that did this.
Right.
So it made me think, okay, well, I love training. I love how people tick. Let me figure out how I can switch over into training, because we had a leadership development group forming at that time. And I was like, let me see how I can get into that. So I actually went over, I got a position over at our training academy. And while I was there, I went and asked the division, we'll call her commander, if she could be my mentor. So I got to know her. I got some mentoring from her, but I also knew that she was in charge of this new leadership development group. And I wanted to show her kind of how I worked and my potential. And that actually led to me getting a senior manager position in that program.
Wow.
And I had a couple of teams of folks, instructors and logistics, and we ran training for about 150 people a week on average. It's a lot over an 18-month period. So we did some intense training on all kinds of leadership stuff, accountability, emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
We had coaches coming and coaching them.
Excellent.
And then I fell so much in love with that I wanted to, and my kids left the house, and I wanted a little more freedom in how I could relate with different clients and the participants in the room and stuff. So I thought, okay, it's time to go back to those entrepreneurial roots. And then I opened up my own business.
So how long were you with the leadership development group with the Bureau? How long did you do that for?
It was almost 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a total of, it was about 4 years. It was a total of 10 with the FBI.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And then I've been on my own for about 8 years.
8 years on your own.
Yeah.
Wow. So when you decided to go off on your own, did you have a vision for what that would look like? You were really, in an environment. Maybe I'm making an assumption here, so correct me. But you were in the FBI. You were really in a very specific environment.
Yes.
Right. and so, I think about people who go off on their own as entrepreneurs from a more, let's say, general corporate environment. And then they sort of generalize their experience, or maybe they go to consulting and then they go off on their own. How was that? How did that translate for you?
So it's great. So I was born to be an entrepreneur. And honestly, the entrepreneurial spirit was quashed a little bit when I was with the government. So one of the telling things that I knew, okay, this is not going to be the rest of my career when I was there. They wanted us to build a facilitation course to teach people to facilitate instead of instruct, instead of, sage on the stage. It's a guide kind of from the side. And so when I came in on the project, there were a couple of folks who'd been working on it for about 3 months. And I sat down, and over a week and a half, I wrote the course. I did everything for it. And then it was another 6 months before the course got piloted. And I'm thinking, okay, this is almost a year-long project for a week-long course. If I were on my own, I could write this 1 week, deliver it the next, and be pulling in the bucks for it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, this is it. So then that's when that planning started. It was about a year in the process. And I did have a strategy initially, but I knew it was going to evolve just because things do. Right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So you were planning while you were still there, right? So what did it look like once you were really on your own? How did you jump out of the gate then?
So I'm laughing because even with all the planning, even with all the visioning, even with preparing, I knew I was going to start out as a coach first and then start building up curriculum for my class. So I got certified while I was started that process of getting certified when I was still in the government.
I see.
When I got out, I had my plan. I took almost a month off just to kind of deculture myself, if that's a word.
And a month must have felt like nothing.
It took actually a couple of years to what is the word? Deculture, when you're just trying to change your culture. Anyway, to get away from that culture, that mindset.
It's a very big. I mean, I worked in government for several years myself, and I remember it took a while to sort of shed that layer of skin off.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I started out with coaching, first personal coaching, as I started building a curriculum and partnering with other companies. Partnered with a great company in Ireland, OMT Global, and did some facilitation for them while I was building out my own catalog. And even with all the planning, those first couple of years were really tough. It was really tough with trying to get money to come in. And then once I started doing volunteer work with my local professional organization, getting to know people through there, doing a lot of free presentations and trainings. And then all of a sudden it just took off. So it was like nothing. And then boom, it took off. And I'm living the life of my dreams now.
Oh my gosh. So tell us about that now. Tell us what it looks like today and what you're doing and what would our listeners gain from learning from your experience?
Good question. So still believe in yourself, even when you're looking at your bank account and there's like $20 in it, right? So believe in yourself, ask for support, keep pushing through. That's what I did. I reached out to colleagues. At first I took everything that I could, if someone offered to do, hey, can you come do this workshop for me? For just a few $100s, sure, I'll do it. Right. So initially I just did everything, I built those connections, build those relationships. And have patience. because those take time. Don't try to push them because that pushes people away.
Right.
So that was the first few years while I started building stuff up, always having a vision, always working towards it. And then once those relationships, I almost think it's like a garden that you're cultivating. Once those relationships start blooming, that's when things take off. And one, you're grateful when they do, because you have experienced not having.
Right.
Yeah. But now I'm living a life. So I have a few instructors that I contract with for my company.
Mm-hmm.
We have some amazing client relationships, and I'm continually building more. And on top of that, I don't work full days. I'll go play tennis. My husband and I travel at least 4 weeks of the year,
Nice.
4 1-week vacations. We go do escape rooms all over the world. And just have a lot of time to relax and chill while also running a very successful business.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
You make it sound so easy.
Well, again, it wasn't in the beginning. And I think the more we go with the flow and be patient and just realize, we're working hard, stuff is going to come through.
Yeah.
It does. Right. I think of the laws of physics when you're trying to push something, right? You can push it away. When we show up and we're trying to push people to buy our products and sales. It pushes them away versus when we're just more chill. Look, I'm here to help. I'm here to build a relationship. Things just keep coming.
Yeah. It makes me think of something that I started, I say doing, but it's more like being.
Yes.
Many years ago, I don't know, it was like a light switch that went on in me where I just said to myself, just don't be attached to any of it. Just believe in what you're doing.
Yes. And
just remain unattached and know that the door will open and enough people will walk through.
Yes.
And
the
more unattached I was to whatever outcomes the outcomes of every, exploratory conversation I'd have with prospective clients and things like that, the more unattached I was, the more business came in.
Yes.
And the more chill I was about it, the more business came
people
in.
Can sense that. If they sense that you're pursuing them.
Yeah.
I almost liken it to like dating, when you're pushing and pursuing people and like, you need to meet with me, you need to go out with me. It's going to turn them off versus you're like, well, meet with me or not. It's up to you. I'm here to help.
Yeah. Well, and yet, I don't mean to say but, I don't like that word. However, yes, and we all teach that, those of us who do training, right? Yes, and how did you navigate? It sounds like you have some very, fluid and creative ways of just showing up and looking for help. I love the way you have woven throughout your career of asking for help, volunteering, showing up, being of service, being of help. I mean, it shows up from your college days onward, probably even sooner. I'm still giggling a little bit about you picking up golf balls and then going on the golf course and selling them to the golfers. I love that. I'm sure you had this cute little grin on your face, and they were just so charmed by you. They bought the used golf balls from you.
Even their own golf balls that I found.
Know. I love it. I think that's
they're
hysterical.
Like, this is mine. I'm like, and 25 cents, please.
25 cents, with a little twinkle in your, with a little like.
I went and found it for you, 25 cents.
25 cents. And now I got poison ivy from that too. How did you navigate, let's say the lockdown days of the pandemic? I mean, you have a company here where you're providing training services, and I would imagine some of those were live trainings. Everybody's business was affected at that time. So you've painted a very positive picture, but I'm curious. But I also know you said you love puzzles. So how did you navigate the puzzle of the pandemic?
Oh, great question. And I am so grateful that was actually 2020 was my best year prior to 2020. I mean, each year has been better and better, but that was like the best year that I've had because one part luck and two part strategy. So I'd actually started because I wanted, a lot of companies didn't want to pay pre 2020. They didn't want to necessarily pay for travel costs for employees to go to workshops. So I started trying to, because I had been teaching online since 2004 in the academic space, not necessarily in the corporate workshop space, but easily translatable. So I started actually trying to get most of my clients to also deliver virtual courses to their folks so they wouldn't have to cover travel costs. And so it was very easy to switch everything over to virtual because I already kind of had them trained.
You were
if you will,
doing
those that maybe weren't doing virtual, I already had some of them kind of trained. And so as soon as the lockdown hit, I contacted each of them. I said, look, the ones that we have scheduled for in person, let's just move them virtual. It's important, one, that you show it's, operation as normal. It's important that you show that development is important, even with the world seemingly falling apart around us. So we switched everything to virtual.
So,
and they even signed up for more classes.
I bet. Whereas a lot of companies and training companies and organizations had a huge adjustment to make, you were ready to go. You were already doing it.
Yes.
So nobody had to think twice about switching over with you.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. I could see people saying, that was your best year? I'm going to love to hate you.
It was up until that point. I mean, it actually, I made significantly a lot more in 2020 than I did in 2019.
Yeah.
And it's continuing to, as I keep building those relationships and those flowers finally bloom. I mean, sometimes you have to plant a seed 2-3 years before. Right. That flower finally blooms. Booms. It could boom too.
It could boom. No, I hear what you're saying, and I like the vision that you're painting here too. That while it's you make it sound so easy, but what you're also saying is, look, I'm looking ahead, and I'm planning, and I'm planting those seeds, and they do take time to grow, and there is an element of patience. And while there's an element of ease, it's because I'm in my lane. I'm doing the stuff I love to do. It feels right to me. I've got good people around me, and I've found my place. This is what I'm meant to be doing. And so, this is, folks, this is the sound of somebody who loves what they're doing, and they're doing what they're meant to be doing. I'm curious too, around the pandemic, and now the kinds of training, the kinds of requests you're getting from clients, the way that the world of work is shifting, and more people working from home. And of course, during the pandemic, people who are working from home and trying to figure out, what do I do with the kids and they're home and they're not going to school? And I'm curious if you had either different kinds of requests for training, or the subject matter, the curriculum, has that shifted? What kinds of things have you seen changing? What do you think is coming next? What is your crystal ball saying? But I'm curious how your business might be shifting, not necessarily the business itself, but the kinds of things that you think your clients are asking for at this point.
Yeah. Oh, great question. Well, first off, I think I'm in the soft skills arena, which I call them really human skills.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think the pandemic has brought a focus on that and how important it is for people to connect with others. And that some people need to be, all of us really need to be trained in how to effectively do that. If we're not seeking out our own information on it, right, we need to go to training. All of it, I do too. But obviously, right now, one of the things is working in a hybrid environment.
Yes.
Yeah. So a lot of the classes I have switched to presenting in a hybrid environment, facilitating in a hybrid environment, communicating with others in a hybrid environment, managing in a hybrid. So pretty much every class that I have, we've kind of just tacked on in a hybrid environment and adjusted the content. So that's the other thing that we do so that we can stay. It's nice to identify trends ahead of time. However, we can't always do that, right? So one of the things I'll do is if a client comes and says, hey, do you have a class on this? What's my answer?
Absolutely, we do.
Absolutely, we do. Can we schedule it out in about 4 weeks? Though my schedule's really booked in the next couple of weeks.
Yes, absolutely. And then you go and you develop it, right?
And then you go and you develop it. You make yourself an expert in that area as fast as you can, and then you develop and you deliver it.
And my guess is that you have the expertise. You need to shape it and form it in a way that's really going to best meet your client's needs. I mean, it's not like you're making it up.
Yeah. No, it's not like I'm trying to become an expert in like surgery in 2 weeks, right? It's already there's already a solid base there.
how to fly a helicopter in
I would stay out of that area.
Right. But there are some nuances in terms of things like leading in a hybrid environment or managing in a hybrid environment. What would you say are some of the key differences that you're seeing in terms of that? I'm not asking you to give away any big secrets, but I'm just curious what you think some of the nuances are that are shifting kind of the curriculum or the content in that way.
Oh, yeah. So just a summary of the major changes is to realize that we are working with humans. They have lives, right? They have kids, they have pets, they have whatever, they have full lives. And anytime we're adding some sort of change in the workplace, we need to, 1, expect a dip in productivity. And 2, we need to show some empathy and compassion when we're moving people through these changes. And we need to continually build relationships while we're doing this. And so one of the things that we'll teach is focus on relationship first when you're communicating. And it changes the way you talk to people, right? So my job is for us to build a relationship. How am I going to tell you? How are we going to communicate your work schedule? And I need to tell you need to start that hour-long commute again a couple of days a week. So it's really focusing on relationship first, and then everything else falls from there. There's of course a lot of nuances, but making sure part of relationship first is communicating with folks appropriately.
Right. And that's helpful to hear because I think that is a bit of a shift than what has been taught before. I think, when we've taught things like communication skills before, I think we've taught more. Here's what you say. Here's a technique.
Yes. Here's a list you need to go through.
Right. Here's the protocol, right? And now you're talking about things like compassion, right? And things that are much, more of the emotional intelligence kinds of things that get inserted in between all of that, much more, right? And some of that is new territory for people, and they're really figuring out how to navigate that, and they know they need to, but it really is a big change.
Yes. Yeah. Actually, I had a class the other day on, I can't remember what. I've taught 4 different classes in the last couple of days, but one of the participants said, you mean I can't just get on the call and just tell them what they need to do and then we're done? Like, no, we need to build the relationship in every conversation that we're having with them.
Yeah. It's almost like you said, you like puzzles. It's almost like you're giving people a new puzzle to figure out, right?
Yep. And
even though they're all human, we're all human, it's still something that people need to find their way through. It's fascinating. It's amazing thinking about all the different ways that your career has evolved. And I love your story, and I love the way you've moved through it from being, serving lemonade on the golf course to deciding, no, I'm not going to study biology anymore, and really being true to yourself and heading in the direction of criminal justice and crime analysis and to where you are now. It's fascinating. And I love the way you've you've given yourself a chance to try new things along the way and get help and get guidance and not be afraid to just say, hey, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll try this. And then, give it, but also having a chance to prove yourself along the way. And I love it. This has been great. Yeah. Is there anything else that you would like our audience to know? I mean, I know we're going to have your website and all your social media links and everything in the show notes. Is there anything that we haven't covered here that you want to make sure that they know about?
Oh, yeah. Well, have a plan. And then also realize that you are going to work it out as you get through it. And it's going to evolve, right? Don't always stick to the original plan. Let it evolve with you as you grow and realize that it's really about who you become throughout the journey, not necessarily all the different tasks that you're going to be doing.
I love it. Great advice. Great advice. Well, Christina, thank you so much for being here today. This has been delightful.
Thank you.
And I really appreciate your time and sharing your whole story.
Well, thank you. This has been a joy.
I hope you enjoyed my interview with Christina Eanes. It was so interesting to speak with her and learn about her background and professional transitions. What is your key takeaway from our interview? If you are interested in any of the resources mentioned in today's podcast, you can find them in the show notes on my website at tammygulerloeb.com/podcast. Just look for episode 183. Are you anticipating your next professional move? Check out my new book, Work from the Inside Out. Break through 9 common obstacles and design a career that fulfills you. It's available in print and ebook editions through my website, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, independent bookstores, and through your local library. If you were inspired by this episode with Christina, please share it with your friends and colleagues. And please do subscribe so you don't miss next week's show. Remember, subscribing is always free. Are you enjoying the podcast? I'd love to read your review on Apple Podcasts. It's easy to find through my website at tammygulerloeb.com/podcast. Just click on the Apple Podcast button and follow the instructions provided there. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, it's never too late or too impossible to increase your sense of fulfillment and satisfaction in your work and other meaningful activities. Let me know how it's going for you. I'd love to hear from you. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to the Work from the Inside Out podcast. For more information, you can find us at www.workfromtheinsideout.com.